Hey folks, thanks for stopping by for the post-race show here for the Triple Crown Canadian Motocross Championship. I'm David Pingree, joined by Jeff Emig. And if you guys missed the races, we're going to kind of break down a little highlight of what we saw. And if you saw it, maybe we had some things here you didn't pick up or didn't catch in the broadcast. So let's start with the 250 class. And really the storyline coming into this thing, young guys versus old guys. You had Kevin Benoit and Tyler Medaglia, who are both in their late 30s.
36 and 37, yeah.
Kids, arthritis,
5 kids between the two of them.
Credit card debt.
Yeah.
All of the things, probably eyesight's on the brink of going away. And those guys are still damn competitive, especially up there in that series. And you got to juxtapose that with the young kids that we had going up. Drew Adams, who is Kawasaki's fair-haired boy, ginger-haired boy, I guess is what we would have to say here. But he is on their radar and in the pipeline to be the next pro circuit kid, and I'm sure they would hope up into the Monster Energy Factory Kawasaki rig. Also, you had Tiger Wood, who's a very highly touted amateur kid, and Gage Linville, who has been training down at the Lawrence's camp, the Dog Pound, working with Ezra Lusk, put in some really good rides in Supercross this year, a couple of real gritty rides. So it was interesting to see how that all played out. And man, it was a great mix. The only sort of bad news of the day was one of our old guys took a digger, Tyler, T-Dags, they call him, and hit his head opening lap of the first moto. Physically was okay, but rang his bell pretty good and sat the day out. I think smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Only the rider knows, how bad that is. And if he's sitting out, my guess is he had some symptoms, post-concussion symptoms, and made the right choice. Now, when you start looking at the overall on the day, the old guys won the war, right? But we did have Drew Adams win the second moto, dominated it. What were your thoughts here, old guy versus young, and what you saw?
Well, I mean, in the 250 Pro division, Drew Adams was by far the quickest rider. Qualifying practice, he led the way there, had fastest lap the first moto, fast lap second moto. He did have that issue the first lap of the first moto, went down with Tyler Medaglia. I get that right? Medaglia?
You did, yeah. The G is silent. Twister. I just learned that.
And,
sorry, probably been saying it wrong for a
so
long time.
Adams had to ride from, probably close to last, and so he goes 4-1 on the day, but really just showed a lot of speed, a lot of talent on the bike. I think that him riding this championship for the first time, a fourth that first moto after the track was really wet and slimy. It had rained a little bit just for first moto, so it kind of had the appearance like he just overwatered the track before the first race. So for him to only come away with the first moto wasn't really really that bad of a ride. And then the second moto, he just really showed that he was the cream of the crop. Now, Kevin Benoit, Benoit.
He's from Quebec.
Yeah, so I've never been there. I don't speak their language, but the veteran rider, he really just showed a lot of maturity. That way, he rode smart, did what he had to do to go ahead and win the overall. So that was a good ride for him.
I agree, and I was really impressed with Drew Adams' maturity level. I didn't see the crash between he and Tyler in that opening moto. It didn't get caught on camera, but to be able to pick yourself up and work back to fourth, and he didn't look like he was out of control in that charge. He was very, systematic about picking his way through the pack. He didn't try to ask for more than he could get, right? He took a fourth.
Yeah. Would you was this Adams' first pro race?
Yeah, it was.
And because everything else that I believe that he's raced is a pure amateur race. Even the Supercross Futures is still, that's amateur. For amateurs.
And this is the one thing that's cool about Canadian Motocross, this Triple Crown Championship, is they keep it like a pro-am status. So these amateur kids can come up and race this series and still go back to the U.S. and race amateur without any kind of legal issues at Loretta Lynn's or whatever they're going to do. So what a great stepping stone for these young kids to come up, race with some experienced guys who are not going to likely do anything stupid to you, ride rough tracks, do longer motos, I think it's just an awesome sort of career path stop for these guys. And so it'll be a fun summer to watch those three. Gage Linville, let's talk a little bit about him. Like I said, he's worked closely with Yogi. He's been down there at the dog pound with the Lawrences, kind of working a little bit. And this kid rode great. I was impressed.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, he didn't have a lot of time on the bike. Was that?
No, 5 days, I said, yeah.
Yeah, so that's not much. Adapted well to that, and Gage Linville was really in the thick of it all day long, as was another rider who I was really impressed with, Quinn
Amiot.
Yeah,
we're still learning some names, people. It's okay. Sebastian Racine.
This guy, Amiot and Linville were wheel to wheel the whole day, and Amiot has an issue with a lapped rider. Gets together with him and just ruined that whole second moto. Really feel for him on that. And I know on the broadcast, I get a little bit outspoken about lapped riders, and that's a great example of what Amiot had to face, where a lapped rider just either made some bad decisions, caused them both to go down. Luckily, neither one of them are injured, I believe. So, but the fact still remains that Quinn Amiot rider, I thought he did great. Look good.
He rode great. And I am on the same trajectory as you with back markers. Man, if you are getting a blue flag, look around you, see what's going on, and then get the fuck out of the way. You're not in the race. It's so frustrating to me because, look, like I said, I've been that lapper, and I'm like, hey, dude, I don't want to mess up anything you guys have going. It's very easy to take a quick peek back and then just move to the side of the track, get out of the way. Stop jumping stuff, get out of the line. Anyway, I don't want to belabor that anymore. But Sebastian Racine was another rider I wanted to mention. Kind of rough starts, rough day, but this kid has some speed. I think we're going to see him up in the mix as it goes on. So a lot of cool stuff going on in that 250 class. 450s, let's talk about this. Dylan Wright, the reigning champion, the GDR Red Bull Honda rider, Fox Racing. Man, 19 overalls in a row leading into this weekend. What was it, over 1,000 days?
It was 1,036 days since he had been beaten.
In an overall. Couple of motos here and there, but on an overall. That is a wild streak. And it ended here at the opening round. Everybody was kind of hoping for it, but I think after the first moto, Dylan handled him, I don't want to say easily, but handled
it. It looked pretty easy to me. Yeah,
okay.
No, I think he clearly did, because in Moto 1, Dylan Wright, he didn't get a bad start. He probably top 5, I believe it was. Jess Pettis was out front and really sort of setting the pace. And Wright just, he just caught him from behind there, stalked him for a little bit and passed him, and then literally just gapped him. And Pettis had every advantage to win that first moto. After the first moto, we then learned from our broadcast partner, Ryan Gauld, that Dylan Wright was experiencing some indigestion or something. He wasn't feeling right.
Some pain, some bloating.
Something
he had
along
the farts, people. It was gas.
Okay. And then the Pettis gets another whole shot out front. And by the time Wright got into second, it was about a 5-second gap. And Wright just couldn't close that up, and then eventually just started falling back. And Wright was really lucky that he even got second, because we believed that he had some sort of issue with his rear shock towards the end of the second moto, physical issue also. And Mitchell Harrison, he rode great. He was third in the second moto, and he had caught Wright with a couple laps to go, and we thought, okay, this is going to be a big move if he can do this. But Wright ended up hanging on, and Mitchell Harrison was third.
And something that I took away, I was real happy for Jess Pettis. You could tell it meant a lot to him to get that win and break that streak. But I was really impressed with Dylan Wright's attitude. He wasn't bitter about it. He didn't make excuses. He said, yeah, man, Jess Pettis rode great. It is what it is. We'll come back and race next weekend again. Like, he handled it like a champion. Yeah. With some humility. He was humble about it. Yeah. I like to see that. I appreciate that out of a guy,
Yeah.
Who can lose as well as he wins, right?
Yeah, and there was just really great battles between Harrison, Natsky, Kilroy, Tanner Ward. Bad first moto, fifth in the second moto. Aaron Tanti was in the mix of it all day long. And I got a feeling that I kind of feel like this podium is divided between the first two. I just don't know. After watching what I did in round one, I just don't think that anybody has the speed to win besides Pettis and Wright. But that battle for third place on the podium, I mean, you've got Harrison, Natsky, Kilroy, Ward, Tanti, all really have the ability to ride for at least that third place position. So that's kind of where my head's at after round one leading into round two.
The one thing I'm going to disagree with you on that is I think Josiah Natsky's got the speed to get up and race for that win. I think we saw him have an off day. He had a terrible start the second moto, but he was up there in the mix for a while in the first moto, all over his teammate. I think he's got the speed to be up there. He just had a rough day. We'll see. We'll see after round two if we say the same thing. But Josiah Natsky, teammates with Jess Pettis, those two are very competitive between them. I think obviously Pettis had a great day in Calgary, but as we move forward, I'm curious to keep an eye on him. But you're right, there is a great battle for that third, fourth, fifth, sixth spot. So even if the race up front isn't great, there's always good battles. We had, man, at one point a 6th, 7th, 8th battle that was like we stayed on for half the race because it was so fun to watch.
Well, where are we going next?
So this weekend, if you guys listen, U.S. National Motocross is on Saturdays. Join us on Sundays. We are live on the Ride TV app, RYDE TV, or Fox Canada, Fox Sports Canada, if you guys tap into some Canadian broadcast signal through your Starlink or whatever. But we're going to be at, thanks a lot, Elon Musk. Yeah. Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, June 9th. It's Sunday at the Temple Hill Motorcycle Park. This is just literally across the border from my home state of Montana.
What's the track like?
I don't know. This wasn't we never had a national there when I raced there. So,
all right.
But it's a stone's throw from my stomping ground. So I'll be excited to watch the racing. Fro and I are going to be back to call it. So join us and then follow us back here. We'll do a quick little wrap up like this and, shoot the breeze about what we thought.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. Stoked to be part of the Triple Crown Canadian Motocross Championship. For Fro, for Galdi, who's helping us on the track with the pit reporting. Appreciate you guys swinging by and supporting us. We'll see you next weekend.